Hello there. If anybody is around, then pop on and say hello. My name is Sherry Simpson. I am a transformational life coach. It's freezing in here right now. I should have built a fire first. Woo. I was talking today about the chakras and about some animals. So first, before everybody hops on, I am going to show you my favorite spirit animal book, and it is Dr. Stephen Farmer's Spirit Animal Pocketbook. And I saw today what I think was a crow, which is also the raven. So if you picked a card today and you picked card number 3, which I'll do a video on a little bit later and post on YouTube. But the raven, for me, is actually a spirit guide. And in Nova Scotia, the ravens were everywhere. So the raven is actually saying you're on the verge of manifesting something you've been working towards for a while. So that's good news if you picked card number 3. Be very watchful over the next couple of days of any clear omens or signs that will guide you and teach you. So soon, we're on a number 1 day in February. We just had the eclipse and we're building up towards the new moon, which will also be an eclipse. It's a solar eclipse on the 15th of February. And the raven also says expect a big change very soon. Awesome. And it also says you've noticed something that's out of balance or an injustice that hasn't been addressed, and it's important to speak about it. And the last thing it says for the crow is you're about to get a glimpse into some future event that affects you directly. So that one is for the crow. The crow and the raven tend to be very similar. I had an interesting experience in the forest today because I actually posted a video asking if it was a raven or a crow, because there was a crow that was talking, and the forest is pretty quiet here, so I actually know when they're talking. And this crow was definitely sort of following us on our little journey today. I take the 2 dogs that I'm house sitting out for about 45 or an hour, or sometimes like an hour and a half walk. And we were out in the forest, and so this crow kept talking and talking, and I'm like, I hear you, bud. I hear you, bud. I know you're there. I know I'm not alone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because that's usually for me what the crow is the spirit guide of. It's, you're not alone. Hi there. I'm just talking about the crow as people are coming on to talk, to learn about the root chakra. And so being in the forest is very grounding, so I'm talking about a little experience in the forest today. And so I heard this like totally weird squeaking noise, and I was like, what is that? So I actually video recorded it and posted it on one of my Instagram accounts asking if people knew what bird it was, because I'm not sure if it is the crow. But the crow is one of those birds who has multiple, hey Ben, the crow is one of those birds who has multiple songs, and so they can actually sing to one another in different songs, which is really interesting. So I just went through if you're seeing the crow as an animal, because I was actually in the forest today, and of course the crows, I think, it was either a crow or a raven. I don't think it was an eagle. It was just a weird noise. But the dog actually started barking at it and going all crazy, because the song that this bird was singing to me was like loud and like very obvious, like, hey, pay attention to me. So I was just saying that the meaning for the crow in the cool book that I have called Dr. Stephen Farmer's Spirit Animal Book is about being on the verge of manifesting something you've been working towards for a while. So that's cool. That's always cool information. Excuse me. All right. Hello, Bern, and hello, Ben. So I wanted to talk to you about grounding today and the root chakra. So I did a separate video. If you don't follow me on YouTube, then hop on over there. I'm at youtube.com/Sherry Simpson. And I did a video about all 7. I'm going to show you the cards. All 7 of the chakras. That's the base chakra card. And sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, hi Claire, throat, third eye, and crown. And so the chakras are 7 energy centers in the body. They line up with Chinese medicine. They've been around for a long time. I learned all about them when I started learning all of the yoga that I was doing. And they're considered wheels of energy in the body, and what happens is energy flows everywhere. So energy is not created or destroyed, but everything is created of energy. So it just shifts into different forms. And so we are energetic bodies, even though we feel quite physical. And we also are energetic in our thoughts, because they're, you can't feel a thought. It'd be kind of cool if you could. There's some of them I'd really like to throw out. But we're energetic beings in terms of being able to convert, hi Annette, being able to convert things that are mindful in our thoughts and beliefs and emotions into other things. And when we are thinking and feeling emotions, the more dense they get, the more we can actually store them in the body. So one of the things that we can do to make sure that our energy is actually flowing and balanced is to make sure that our chakras are aligned and balanced and grounded, and that they're all kind of connected. Because if you have a block somewhere in the chakra, what happens is the chakra at the top, number 7, actually comes down from source, and it will bump into this one and shoot the energy kind of back up. And I don't think your chakras are ever totally blocked, but it's almost like you have this funnel that doesn't allow things through properly. And so you can have issues that go on physically, mentally, emotionally that are based on the chakra energy flow not happening correctly. So I like to make sure that my own chakras are balanced, and I connect in with other people and do that as well. So I'll show you later how I can do that for you if that's something you'd be interested in. So the crown chakra is at the top. Today we're going to talk about the root chakra, which is at the bottom. So the root chakra is the first, and the last time I was live I came on and chatted about this a little bit. So the root chakra, you want to think about it as being at the base of the spine, and it's red. It's a very grounding, earthy color. If you have issues with your root chakra, then a lot of times you may have some fear in moving forward. You may be in your head and not feeling grounded. You may be bumping into things like stubbing your toe or cutting your fingers or doing things like that, which means that you're not present. You're not present in the actual physical world. I'm bouncing on the counter here as I'm saying that. So that just means that you're just not in your body. And so in order to actually manifest things and create the life that we desire, we need to be present. So yes, we need to be connected to our source, and we need to be like aligned and connected to who we are in order to bring the energy in and to feel alive and to feel on purpose and to feel like the passion and whatnot that we desire to feel. But we're human. We need to actually bring that energy all the way down into the earth in order to tangibly manifest things into the physical. So if you're not feeling grounded, you may have issues with your lower body, so usually the legs and the knees, the ankles and the feet are root chakra things. So, and it's, of course, the root chakra card number is 1, because when we are birthed onto this planet, the first things that we need are based on root chakra. So if you're a baby coming into the planet, then what do you need? Your parents or whoever is taking care of you needs money. You need a roof over your head. You need clothes. You need, you need diapers. You need love. You need nourishment in several ways. And so if you're, even as a teenager or 20-something, just leaving your parents' house, what is it that you need in order to survive as a human? You need some money. You need a roof. You need clothes. You need a way to make money or whatever, and you need nourishment. You need all of those things to survive as a human. And a lot of times when we're not grounded, we don't have those things. And so if you tend to be someone who feels like they work and work and work and work but never get ahead, you may not be as grounded as you'd like to be. So you're in that place of I'm doing all the work, but I'm not actually physically present. I'm not here. So you may be the doer and the giver and the action taker, but you kind of do it on autopilot rather than actually being present. That could mean that you're not here, that you're not grounded, that you're not present. So how do you actually connect to that? energetically, and I explained this for all the chakras in the video that I did on YouTube, you can actually literally think about connecting into that area. So I like to think about a clear glass globe, or like a Christmas ball or something like that, being located at the base of the spine, because that's where your root chakra would be. And in that globe, because it's red for the color that is based on the root chakra, you would actually imagine red actually flowing in and through, and almost like the red Christmas tree lights. The more vibrant and the bigger, but not too big, because then it could be overwhelming and out of balance and cause a shift of out of balancedness in the rest of the chakras. But you want it to be big enough that it covers that whole area that is in that tailbone section of the body. And you want to think about, this chakra actually faces down, so it's very earthy and connected. So you can release stuff through this chakra down into the ground, and you can pull a groundedness up through the earth, in, like through the legs or through the tailbone, into that round ball, and imagine the red swirling there. So on a human, that would be more on a mental and a visual and even an emotional level of feeling like I'm safe, I'm nourished, I'm capable, I have all the money I need, I'm wealthy, wealthy enough, because usually more money and the capacity to bring in even more is at the second chakra. But the base chakra is really, what do I need to survive? And so you can do that whole mental balance thing where you're actually connecting in to that chakra and picturing it flowing and picturing brightness. So if you can't do it, if you're like, oh, I can't do this, I can't even see it, then likely that chakra is blocked. If you look at the chakra sort of in your head, or you kind of feel it out and it feels like this little tiny dot, then maybe it's like also blocked and it's not as big as it should be. Or if you're actually feeling like it's this giant red screaming fire engine, then maybe it's overactive. So you want to bring it back to a balanced state. So the visualization is something that you could do. You could also practice being mindful, so you're actually being in the present when you're doing things, rather than allowing your head to be in one place but your body to actually be doing something else. And so often something like doing your taxes or doing something that takes focus, but it actually takes you, using the calculator and using this, it's like it grounds you in the physical. Other things that you could do are literal human things, having sex, drinking water, eating food, taking a bath, being in the forest, watching like kids play, or doing something where you're actually focusing. You can connect into things like your senses. So if you're sitting on a park bench and you're sitting down, you could say, okay, I'm going to connect in right now with nature. Or if you're, in the mall or in the airport or something, and in that grounded state, you could just pay attention to what it is you're seeing and start labeling. That game that kids used to play when they were in the car, like it was like the I See It game or something, like I Spy with My Little Eye. Something like that actually gets you grounded in the moment, so you're paying attention to what's going on. The other thing I like to use to ground is things like essential oils. So I pulled a couple that I will mention. Anything earthy, anything that smells like the woods, or anything that smells like trees is great. Balance is one that I brought up the other day when I did some card pulls, and this one is very grounded and very earthy. That's another thing actually about the base chakra and not feeling grounded is, I used to assess my massage therapy clients, and when they came into the office, some of them would stand with their feet like huge distance apart, like with their head and their feet, they made a big triangle. Those people were not feeling balanced. They were feeling like not safe or not grounded, or like the earth was moving or shaking or something, like they were not grounded. And so an oil like Balance that is very earthy would be helpful. Many people often use like patchouli or ylang ylang. The two that I have here, this one is vetiver, and it smells a lot like the forest. It smells a lot like a lot like rain. It smells very fresh, and it's very like bringing you to the present. And the other one that I like, this one is juniper berry. And juniper berry is an earthy one, but it's flowery. And so even flowers and picking flowers and being in nature and surrounding yourself by things that are natural, like flowers. Even noticing flowers and noticing the colors of them will ground you because you're actually paying attention rather than floating around like a bobblehead. But this one is interesting because when people have issues in their legs and in their lower body, it's often about fear in moving forward. So the interesting thing about this particular oil, the juniper berry, is that it is helpful in dissolving all kinds of fear of any kind. So it's one of the ones that I use if I'm fearing authority, or if I'm fearing success, or I'm fearing failure, which seems like weird things to fear, but or abandonment, or like loneliness, or whatever. There's a ton of things that people actually fear. And so I have used this one a lot. Over time, people have mentioned to me that I actually pick up fears for other people because I'm capable of holding on to them. So on an empathic nature, people were actually attracted to me because I could actually pick up fears for them and store them, but then I wasn't actually getting rid of them. So I was holding on to all of this like stuff that was not belonging to me. So if you're doing that, make sure you're grounded and make sure you're going through some kind of a chakra healing or a release in order to get rid of stuff that empathically you're taking on from other people. But this is a good one. With the essential oils, you could just simply smell them and it brings you into the present because it brings you to the senses, and the senses are like tactile, and that brings you into the present moment. And you can also apply these, and some of these you can ingest as well. So vetiver oil is one that I actually ingest. Like, it doesn't taste that great, so I put it underneath my tongue, so I can't really taste it. Balance is something I would actually put right on the bottoms of my feet. And vetiver is one that I would dab underneath my nose, or I would put on my chest so that I actually smell it as it wafts up. And that sort of brings me down into a grounded connectedness. So those are all things that you could try if you're not feeling grounded and if your root chakra is out of balance. So at a later date, I'll make sure I go through the other chakras so you have an idea of what 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 do. If you are eager and this is interesting, then go check out the YouTube video that I have. It's youtube.com/Sherry Simpson. And if you are interested in me checking your chakras, so how I check into you the same way that I would pull cards for people, but I use your birth information to make sure that I'm checking into the right person. And I can check to see, hi Katie, I can check to see if your chakras are overactive or underactive. And if they're overactive, then it feels like everything is like extreme. So some people who are like, almost seem like they charge into a room would be very overactive in their confidence and empowerment and personal strength. And they're like, wah! But people who are underactive in, say, the root chakra might have money issues. Thank you, honey. I am having a good day. It's foggy here, but the pictures I was taking today were really cool because they would look really mysterious when I went out for my walk. So thank you. I hope you're having a good day too. So the chakras can be overactive and underactive. So what I do is check into people to see if the chakras are balanced. And because chakras get out of whack all the time based on I'm not eating this, I'm eating too much, I'm not eating enough, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm around too many people, I'm too stressed, this is going on, that's going on. So there's lots of things that can make your chakras over or under balanced. So basically a balanced chakra, if we look at it as being 100% is totally balanced, most people in a balanced state are somewhere between 90% and 110. So if I pull a number for you in a reading where you're anywhere in between that spectrum, then all is pretty good. But people can be 200%, so they'd be really overactive, or they could be at like 20% where they're really underactive. And when that happens, say you were very underactive in your throat, then that would mean that you'd have issues speaking your truth. You likely have thyroid issues. You might be barking at people and get colds all the time. You may be an amazing listener, or you may not be listening to people at all. And the issue with that I mentioned earlier is that the energy that comes in bounces and goes away. And the one thing I didn't mention in this video was that chakra 1 faces down towards the earth, because it pulls the energy up from the earth and it releases the energy back down. So the earth is like this magical force that when we release stuff down and allow it to drain, the earth, just like when things happen with the trees, what is it called when that transformation happens with the trees where things turn green? Photosynthesis, is that what it's called? No. There's a word that I'm missing, but anyway, the earth actually transforms whatever you give it and brings it back to love. So the root chakras of people actually face down, so we can release down what we don't need and we can pull that earthy energy up. The other chakras, 2 through 6, actually face forward and back, and the energy ends up going down and up in pathways through the body, through each of those chakras. And the 7th, or crown chakra, actually faces up towards the ceiling, and that's where we get our energy from source. It's not necessarily how we're connected to source, because our connection is actually up here at the thymus, at the high heart. But it's how we get our energy. And so if you're not feeling energized today, then actually open up that crown chakra at the top and allow like white light to come pouring down through you, releasing what you don't need and bringing into the body what you do. And if you're not feeling grounded, do the same thing on the opposite side. So you're bringing that earthy energy up into your body and allowing it to go all the way up and then cleanse as it comes back down. So you create this fountain where the flow of energy is actually sending the flow in both directions. Hi, Sarah. So that's what I had to say about the base chakra. Does anybody have any questions for me? I went through a little bit about all 7 chakras. I went through juniper berry, which is a very good releaser of fear of all kinds, because issues with the base chakra tend to be fears in moving forward, and juniper berry is great for all kinds of fear. If you're looking for an essential oil that you have that's an earthy one, from the doTERRA brand that I use, they're a very natural, healthy, high-end oil, which is why I like them. They have one called Arbor Vitae, and it's actually an amazing bug spray. That's what it's meant for, but it is great for grounding. And so you would put a couple of drops with coconut oil or jojoba oil or something like that on the bottoms of your feet. Love having you part of my... Aw, thank you, Annette. The other one that I like is vetiver, and it smells kind of like rain. It smells very earthy and very fresh, and it just brings you back into that present moment. But anything that smells grounding, anything that smells earthy, like the patchoulis and the ylang-ylangs, those things can bring you down and into your body. And again, the reason that you want to be in your body is because we can't manifest if we're not. So one of the cool techniques this reminds me of is a lot of times when we request things from the universe, they actually come to us almost immediately, but it's as though they get stuck in the 4th dimension of thought and they're not delivered because we're not grounded. So the idea of being grounded is like calling in all of those UPS packages that you've sent out and requested that are stuck in a place that is not physical. So as you allow yourself to be connected and more grounded and doing more things that are earthy and grounded, then... and being like present in the moment, not just like doing things where you're like, you know, a robot. You're actually like mindful about it. Then you can call in those UPS packages into the present. And as you do that, it's as though things just start showing up for you. So it's a fun game to play where you actually think about calling in all those UPS packages that you've manifested that you know are not physical. So you can do things to ground, like using the oils, like going into the forest, source, like being mindful, like making sure you're drinking enough water so energy is flowing and things like that, which are keeping you present. Hi, Amanda. Good to see you. So if anybody has any comments or questions, I'd love to hear. If anybody uses any other techniques about cleansing or balancing their chakras, then I'd love to hear those. Again, I use the that glass ball technique, and another one that I like to do as a cleanser for all 7 is to think about your 7 main chakras as being a staircase. And so you actually climb up to the first stairs, and then it's red, and so you actually imagine like a red glow being at that staircase, and then you climb up to the second one and you imagine the next chakra, which I'll talk about in a different video, as being the sacral, and it's orange and it's glowing and it's perfect. And then you wind up the staircase again and you move on to the solar plexus, which is below the heart. And then you think about it being balanced and it being like perfectly beautiful and vibrant, and then you do it again. You walk up to the next staircase where you're at the heart, and you imagine it being emerald green and beautiful, and then you do the same thing. You walk up to the next one and you imagine the next staircase bringing you up to the throat, and it's like a sky blue, and it's in this glass ball, and it's vibrant and it's clear and it's beautiful. And then you do it again and you walk up to the third eye, and then you do it again and you walk up to the crown, and then you actually imagine all of the colors as you're looking down that staircase as being like spiraling up to source and spiraling back down to the ground. So it's fun to just play with the different things. So one of the things that inspired me to talk about chakras was that I actually saw 4 rainbows in one day the other day. Actually, it was the day of the full moon, because I actually went outside to watch the full moon, not last night, but the night before. And there was like a rainbow ring around the moon that night too. And I was like, of course there is, because I saw 4 rainbows today. So I got the hint that maybe I should talk about the chakras, because they're in the rainbow colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and then indigo. Or indigo and then violet. Alrighty, so if anybody would like more information on this, catch the YouTube video at youtube.com/Sherry Simpson. And if you would like me to check into your chakras, then let me know. You can message me or you can email me at yltcoaching@gmail.com. I also have, I think, a link for a clearing on the store. So it's in yltcoaching.com, and the email is yltcoaching@gmail.com. And so I do that. And actually, one of the interesting things about the chakras is that we usually lead with one. So you have like a primary or a dominant chakra. And if people have blocks like at the throat, often their primary or dominant chakra is actually the throat. And that often connects in with people not living their passion and their purpose because they have so much fear or so much whatever, anxiety, people pleasing, poor boundaries, that would be at the throat specifically, about what the throat chakra is. And so people are often creating blocks or issues in the chakra area that would be their primary. So I check into what your primary would be while I'm doing that, and then we see if there's anything connected. So if some of the chakras are blocked, then there are certain things in life that often are off. If you have a chakra that's at 200%, then you'll find that, things might be like vibrating like crazy. So if you had a heart chakra that was at 200%, you are likely over giving and not receiving at all. Or you may be in such a state of depression that you're actually all hunched over and your heart is not open because it's physically closed. And so that would be, it would be the opposite. So you're not over giving, you're actually under giving to you, and you're not capable of giving to others. So that would be probably an example of, or a characteristic, or a symptom almost of what a closed and an open chakra would be for the heart. So I can check into those for you, which is usually it's quite an enlightening, sort of interesting thing to have somebody actually read them for you and to say, hey, by the way, this is where you are meant to lead from, and let's balance these and see if we can clear that. So I definitely do that for people if you're interested. So it was fantastic chatting with everyone. Hi, Marianne. You keep catching me when I'm almost done here. So I just went through some stuff about grounding. I went through some essential oils that you can use to ground and some of the things that you can do from a physical nature. Eating, drinking, being in the forest, even jumping, like on a trampoline, or like jumping on the ground, or dancing and doing things physical, like working out at the gym, can actually bring you into the present because you're like pounding. Running is a good one even because you're like in the present. As long as you're not totally like spacing in your head when you're running, thinking about other things. If you're present and you're running, then that would be more grounding than if you're floating around in your head. If you're floating around in your head, you likely have, at least I'm catching you. Awesome. If you're floating around in your head, then you're likely not grounded, and you're likely not open through the third eye. You could be blocked in that area. Chakra, Chakra, Chakra. I'm going to be singing that now, Ben. I'm going to have to look that up. Oh, it's an interesting question that you mentioned that with chakra, because people actually pronounce the word chakra all sorts of ways. And so if you were to take the words chak and run and take the N on, like chakra, that's actually how it's supposed to be pronounced. So it's not chakra. That's actually sort of inappropriate, but tomato, tomato. To me, it doesn't matter. I think we all know what it means. But the correct pronunciation is if you take chak and run and drop the N. So it's like chakra. That's actually how it's meant to be pronounced. So Chaka Khan would not be actually the correct pronunciation. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do a video a little bit later because I had some cards that I chose today. If some of you picked them, I'll show them off today. So the first one that came up was the serpent card earlier. So this, if you pick the serpent, this is the card that you actually got. The serpent, and it was in reverse. If you picked the number 2 card earlier, then it was the lion, the ruler of the heart, and it came up in reverse. If you picked the number 3 card, it was the raven. This is it's funny how the lighting is in here, isn't it? The messenger of magic is the raven. That was the number 3 card from earlier. And the hummingbird was the number 4 card from earlier. So I will post a link on YouTube because I'll do a whole video on all 4 of those in a little bit. So, namaste to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any comments or questions, then leave them and I will make sure I get to you and answer them later. Hi Tatum, I'm just about to kick off here. So what I talked about was the base chakra and about grounding and some of the essential oils you could use for grounding, which includes all the earthy ones, which includes any of the like bug sprays, the Terra Shield and the Arbor Vitae. And yeah, you just missed it. That's okay, you can catch the replay because it'll go up right away as soon as I finish this. So I do have the video of all 7 of these at youtube.com/Sherry Simpson, which I did earlier, and I go through that globe thing a little bit on there as well. I did the staircase here, which I didn't do there. And I will pop back on and do probably the second chakra tomorrow. So over the next 7 days. Today's February 1st, so I figured why not talk about the first root chakra, and tomorrow we'll talk about number 2. So as we get towards the 7th, we'll cover them all. So amazing chatting at you folks. It's great to have you here. Enjoy basking in this energy that is the eclipse season as you move forward towards that new moon. So it's still a great time to do some journaling and decide what it is that you're going to create over the next 3 to 6 months. Because this eclipse energy that we're into between the eclipses is really going to take us forward on manifesting our goals, And remember, calling your UPS packages in, you can manifest your goals much quicker and much easier if you're actually present, which is why the base chakra being balanced, chakra, not chakra, tomato, tomato, is very important for manifestation. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Namaste.